I'm super excited for you to be here.
I'm very excited to be here. You are one of my favorite people. You're so positive. I love everything that you put out because it's really inspiring.
Thank you.
And you're really good at putting the spotlight on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important of like paying attention to what other people are doing and giving, like celebrating them and giving them credit just as much as you do for yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And that's why I had to get you on the show. Because you're an actress, comedian, impressionist.
I wear lingerie as regular clothes, and I wear regular clothes as blankets because, like, I'm so small.
A writer, a director, a producer, a host of New York Post, Win the Weekend, a feminist, and a wedding officiant.
The most important.
The most important. It's super dope to sit down with you. I'm super excited. First question, how did you get into acting and entertaining?
So, I started acting when I was a kid. Like,
yeah.
You know.
I don't have time for boyfriends. I'm a movie star.
I think I'm trying to remember how old I was when I did my first play. I think I was in like elementary school and I really liked it. And so I kept asking my mom if I could do like community theater and stuff. And she was a really great mom. And so she like drove me around and let me audition for plays. And I did like a lot of community theater in middle school. And then when I went to high school, I did like plays in high school. And then I had a detour where I went to college for something completely else.
Yeah, wait, we're going to talk about that. So you went to Georgia Tech. I saw it very briefly. Mm-hmm. What was that about?
So I went to Georgia Tech for mechanical engineering for 1 year.
So you're smart. You are smart.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I was like really good at math and I was pretty good at science too. So I went there for a year and then I like quickly realized I was like, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm miserable. This is horrible. But I was still really good at math. Like at Georgia Tech, I got A's in all of my calculus classes.
Yeah. Was that just in high school, you were thinking like, oh, real life, I got to do something serious. And then you decided, no, I'm going to put theater and acting to the side and then do math at Georgia Tech. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of pressure like from my parents, like do something practical.
Sure.
And which is, you know, that makes sense because it's a very impractical career. And as you know.
Yeah.
And so I think I just was like, yeah, I'll just do something practical and then I'll have money and then I'll be fine, you know?
Yeah, and then you can maybe do acting.
Right. And I can like maybe do it. But then I just realized like, why? Like, why just like do something you don't want to do? What's the point? So that you can like have money to survive because that's the way like society is set up. It's just like, I'm so much happier that I chose to do what I wanted, even though it is really hard and it has caused a lot of like pain. But every time I get to do what I love, I'm reminded that it's like worth it. It really is worth it when you get that feeling, you know?
Right. So you were at Tech, you decided, nah, this ain't for me. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. Where'd you go after that?
So then I went to Boston University for acting. So then like when I realized like I think I want to go to school for acting, I like set up all these auditions for schools and I auditioned at like 5 schools, I think. Mm-hmm. And then BU was the only one I got into. So
well, there you go. You're going to BU.
I was like, I'm going to BU. But yeah, and I had a great time there. I really loved it there.
Yeah.
I got to do a lot of really cool stuff.
And then by way of BU, you made your way to New York City?
Right. I always wanted to live in New York. Like I knew that for a long time. I think since I was a kid, I always wanted to live here. And then I started improv at BU and we were like getting into the UCB style of improv while I was there. And I really wanted to study at UCB. So that was like one of the reasons I wanted to come to New York too.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been in New York?
4.5 years.
Woo!
I know.
That's about the same for me.
Yeah, it feels long.
What was that, summer 2016? 15, yeah.
2015, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny with Instagram, especially with like friends back home. You're like, oh, Maria, you're killing it. I see you doing all these things. And people say that to me and I'm always like,
I'm exhausted.
How do you do it?
Yes, very good question. That's true. Like, it is exhausting. It's not like, oh, I have endless energy and I just get up every day and I do all these things and it's amazing and it's easy. Like, no, it's very hard. And like making money and all that is also exhausting. I think, so one of the things that I did when I first moved here, I like filmed this sketch with this company in Brooklyn. And then last year, the New York Post, someone from the New York Post texted me. I was like, who is this person? And he was like, hey, we have a new show and this guy like recommended you to it. And I was like, this guy that I filmed a sketch with 3 years ago. Like,
when you
just
first moved to New York, and you've been doing all this other stuff.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, you never know where these opportunities are going to come from. And so that was how I like did the initial meeting with the New York Post, and then like did the audition and like wrote the script and did like the screen test and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, just like, I was like, yeah, good on you, Maria, for like showing up 3 years ago to this dinky like sketch in deep into Brooklyn, you know?
Yeah.
And something came of it.
This could be the thing that leads to the thing.
You
Hopefully,
have no idea.
You never know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like, people always be like, oh, like I tell one of my friends, like, oh yeah, I'm doing this project. I'm working on this small thing. And if it ain't paying, or if it's not like a big thing that they know about,
it's like not important to them.
Not important.
Yeah. But you're like, you have no idea like what these things add up to.
You never know.
It's like when people are like, oh, Lizzo came out of nowhere or whatever, and she had that tweet. It was just amazing. She was like, no, like no one is born overnight. She was like, this is like 9 years of like performing in bars, being homeless, like having nothing to eat. She was like, this is what this is. You know? Yeah, that's so true.
I feel like we're right in that buffer zone where it's like, okay, I'm here long enough to where like I might be here for the next 4 or 5 more years. You feel that way?
Like for New York or like the career? Both?
Both. Yeah, let's do both. Let's do both because that's real too.
Yeah, I feel like definitely last year was a year that a lot of things started to come together for me. Just like in my mind, like things connecting, work that I had, like random projects that I had done like 3 years ago started to get me another opportunity. You know, like those things that I showed up for when I first got here, like kind of finally started to make things happen, which was great. And I was also like putting a lot of pointed, directed work into certain specific goals.
Sure.
And I was like, I can do this. Like last year, I think was the year that I was really like, I know what I'm doing. I've been here. I've showed up. I have these goals that I want to achieve, and I know that I can get there. I don't have like this hopeless, aimless, like sense of the industry anymore. Like I feel like I used to. I used to be like, nothing makes sense. I have no control. Like these auditions, like maybe they want me, maybe they don't. I can't control anything.
Right.
And I feel like last year was the first time I really was able to like gain a new sense of like power and control over this industry and like this career.
Sure. And in what ways would you say you've taken control? Because I know what you're talking about. A lot of actors, you know, you go to a showcase or you go to a casting session, a one-on-one or like Actors Connection to meet with the casting director, to maybe get called in for an audition, to maybe be the right person for the part, to maybe get the callback, to maybe get the role. Everything is out of your control. And I know a lot of actors, and I've heard a lot of actors, as I'm sure you have as well, that'll be in there just upset. They'll almost catch an attitude. You know, someone will be like, well, how do I get an audition? And how am I supposed to book anything? Because the way this works, this doesn't sound, this is all silly. The whole business is a sham. You know, and they critique the industry, but how are you able to take control and stay positive when you found out that, okay, yeah, a lot of the acting business is out of my control?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And I've been there. I've been in that place where I'm like, fuck this. Like, none of this makes sense or works. But yeah, I think actually something that really helped me was I got this calendar, the Law of Attraction planner. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, talk to me about it.
It's literally changed my life and it's not like this like hippie like secret thing that people think it is, where it's like, oh, if I just like wish hard enough, this thing will happen. No, it's like it lays out, like you write down all of your accomplishments and your goals, and you like have like a monthly review of everything that you've done to work towards that goal in that month. And it helped me accomplish like so much that I wanted to, just simply by like organizing it in this way and like seeing it laid out in front of me. And that helped me a lot. And like one of the big ways that I was able to empower myself with this industry was doing stand-up, because even improv, which is like, oh, it's fun, I can do it on my own.
Shout out to the Sister Wives. Y'all are great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They're gonna love that. Yeah, like even that, there's this like structure, hierarchical like thing with UCB, and you have to make it on a team. You can have your own, you know, like we still do our own show and everything, but there's still like this thing that you're trying to get into.
A lot of gatekeepers.
Exactly. And with stand-up, I was like, I can write my own material. I can be whoever I want to be. I don't have to fit into this role or this character that anyone is saying I'm not right for. And I can do it whenever I want, and it's free. Improv is not free. You have to pay for classes and a coach. Even like we practice every week, we're paying for a coach.
You rent the studio space.
I'm renting a studio space, and it's money, you know? And stand-up is free. You can educate yourself by like watching stand-up, reading books, and getting up at open mics, and hosting your own free shows. Whenever I would host a show, I would make sure it was free so that people could just like come watch me and enjoy, and they didn't have to go to a comedy club and pay like
Which is very rare in New York.
$50. Yeah. For like just 2 drinks and to see me do 5 minutes of stand-up or whatever.
Yeah.
So stand-up was a really big way to empower myself. And also because in the comedy community, I saw that stand-ups were getting a lot of like TV and film roles. And I was like, oh, they're getting these roles, they're getting the kind of representation that I want. And a lot of them like didn't want that even. They were like, I'm just a stand-up. Like I go into an audition and I don't know what I'm doing. They're like, I hate auditioning because I'm like, what are these
Make
words?
a choice.
Yeah, they're like, I write my own words, you know?
Yeah.
So they didn't even want that. And I was like, I would kill to have that Netflix audition or whatever they're talking about. So I was like, I can do that. Like, I'm going to do that. And it's led to so many other great things in my career by like empowering myself in that way.
What are your goals, by the way? Because you mentioned the goals. I'm curious.
Sure.
What are your goals?
So my main goals right now are that I want to sell a TV show that I have written. Well, I wrote a pilot, and I want to sell the pilot. I want to book a stand-up special sometime in the future. It's not going to be in the near future, but I would love to sell a stand-up special. And those are like my 2 big goals right now.
Yeah.
That I'm working towards. Yeah.
Y'all heard it here first. These are her goals. Anybody watching, she's got a pilot that she's ready to sell, and she's got a stand-up special that she'll be ready for in the next couple of years. So look out for her. Also, I'm really excited. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Those are like the things that I'm working on. And these are things that are more in my control. Like I'm the person who has to put in the work to write the pilot and pitch it and sell it. And I'm the person who has to write a whole stand-up special and perform and try out jokes and do all these things. And if I make something really great, I can eventually sell it. So it's like these are more like goals focused on what I have in my power to create than like, oh, I want to get a TV role. Because I think that used to be my goal for a long time, where I was like, I want a TV role.
Yeah.
But I only have so much power over that, you know, of like getting the audition and booking it and the role being right for me. So I was like, why don't I write my own TV show?
Yeah. That you like.
Right. That is a cool role that I would love to play. Yeah. Well, so I like set up these things where I was like, these are the different avenues where I want to accomplish things. So social media, I think, is important. And if I can get more fans on there, they're more willing to like come see my stand-up and like be interested in the other work that I'm doing that could make me money. So I'm gonna make like 1 video a week, or I'm gonna try to make 1 new video a week. So that was like my goal last year.
Yeah.
I didn't do it every week.
Sure.
I did a good amount, but I didn't do it every week. But I did a good amount.
I feel like I read a book. It's called 12-Week Year. I feel like you would love it.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's about like setting up tactics, similar to what you're talking about, setting up the tactics and setting up the things, the everyday execution steps.
Tangible, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then, but it talks about how as long as you hit 85%, typically you'll hit your goal. So
Yes.
it's like, oh, you didn't do a video every day or every week rather, but as long as you do 85% or at least put in like some sort of effort, you'll still be able to make a substantial amount of progress, which I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've observed, you have, it looks like your content is stellar. Your social media following is growing, which is really dope.
Yeah. So there was like this goal of the social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was the goal of stand-up. So
Mhm.
it was like, last year I had only really done like open mics and some shows, but
Mhm.
not really a lot. And I was like, I want to be a stand-up. Like, I want to be an established stand-up. I want to be booking shows. So in order to do that, I need to like hit 3 open mics a week. I need to host my own shows and like book comics. And then I also need to like reach out to other comics to book me on their shows. So this was like my other pocket of goals. Like there was social media, then there was stand-up, and then there was like acting.
Mm.
And I was like, so with acting, I kind of took a little step away from the things that I was doing before. Like before I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do one-on-one classes and all that stuff. But like,
Play that game.
nothing was coming from that really.
Yeah.
So I think I took a few acting classes, but I was like, I think if I invest more in my own work, like those things will come to me later.
Sure. It's funny you say that because literally right now I was looking at casting workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And they're expensive.
Yes, exactly. That's another thing about being an actor is like what people don't understand is like, yeah, I'm not only like surviving and doing the work I care about, but I'm also paying all this money into taking classes and trying to get in front of agents and managers and investing money in my own work and headshots. And like headshots are so expensive. Yeah. So I was like, let me do some free stuff, like social media and stand up. Let me do these free things and see if maybe they can get me into the industry in like another door.
Mm. And have you started to see fruit from those steps that you've taken?
Definitely. I got my manager from Instagram.
Hey.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
All this time I was like, oh, I'm going to go do these one-on-one meetings and like try to get a manager.
Yeah. No.
Then I was like, whatever. So I started making these videos and he saw my videos and he just messaged me and he was like, I loved your videos. I think you're so funny. I'd love to meet. Yeah. And so that's how I got my manager. And then that's how he started connecting me to these other opportunities I had wanted for so long, but was like trying to get them in the wrong way, I guess, because again, it was like the industry doesn't make sense. Like I'm doing everything right, but there is no right way. It's kind of like, how can I be my most authentic self? Like sell my voice. Like what is my voice? What is my perspective? And make people care about it. And just by being truthful, and someone will connect to that. Like the right person will.
That's dope. So I guess right now that all led up to the biggest question of the day. I see you're consistently creating and working, something that all entertainers desire, to be creating work on a consistent basis. But behind the success is the witty Instagram posts, film gigs, Broadway debut, which is also dope, improv shows, and all the other things. How do you do it? Where does the magic happen for Maria DeCotis?
That's a good question. I think it all goes back to what I was saying before about that feeling that you get when you create something and you put it out, or you're on stage and you get a laugh and you feel like you're connecting to people and things are happening, people are coming together, and you're getting that feeling of like, oh, I created something that like brought people together and made us like identify with each other on something, all of these like different people in a room. And I think I'm like chasing that feeling, and you can get it in so many ways, and with comedy and with acting. And I just think creating is what keeps me going every day, because if I like had to wake up every day and just go to a job that I didn't care about, I like would not wake up. Like it's already kind of hard to wake up in the morning because I struggle with mental health issues and stuff. And knowing that I have that I'm like, I'm going to get to do that thing that like brings me that like nice, beautiful moment and feeling that I get to have. Like that's a reason to get up and do it.
Sure. That's cool. And then you kind of mentioned it a little bit. You put a lot of bold, unfiltered content out touching on subjects all across the spectrum, whether that be gender equality, sex, feminism, depression, and even rape. Do you ever get nervous putting out content like that? It seems like you just, whatever comes to mind, you're just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about it. Do you ever get nervous? Do you ever get worried about what people are going to think and what your friends are going to say?
I do. I think like the first few years I was in New York, I was nervous about putting content out like that because, I don't know. I was worried about like what my family would think or, people from home or
from down south
who have very different like opinions and ideals on that kind of things and what you should share. But I reached a point where I was just like, it doesn't really matter anymore to me because I'm like, who am I saying these things for? Am I gonna not say these things because I want to protect like people's feelings who are like bigoted or why would I not take an action because I want to like protect someone's feelings like whose feelings are like bad about those things.
Sure.
And I would just much rather be vocal and open about it. And also like the mental health stuff on Instagram, whenever I do post stuff about that, people are always like, thank you for sharing. Like I feel less alone. And like I feel these things all the time. They give me advice on things that they do when they're feeling bad. And I don't know, it's more like creating a community of like, it's okay to talk about these things. And in fact, it's healthy and it's better and it's healing instead of just keeping it all bottled up because we're worried about what people are going to think.
Right. What's on deck in 2020?
Oh, well, yes. What's on deck in 2020?
Because I feel like you had a lot of success in 2019. Are you looking to build on that momentum and keep it up? Keep up the progress?
Yes. So I feel like I got to a place where I was like, I'm a stand-up now. And I can like proudly go around and be like, I'm a comedian, I'm a stand-up, and you can't tell me that I'm not.
Let's go.
Because I did all of those things that I was supposed to do, that I told myself that I wrote down that I needed to do to become a stand-up. And so now I'm focusing on booking stand-up shows, building my like hour of stand-up that I will eventually want to make an album of or get one of my goals that I wrote down was that I wanted to book a festival like JFL or Clusterfest. And I have a JFL showcase next week.
Let's go.
Which is amazing. So even just to get to that like first round of the showcase is like, I'm so grateful. And so my goal for stand-up this year is to get like a short taping that's either like a late night set or from a festival like JFL or Clusterfest. So that's like my stand-up goal for this year. For like acting, I want to sell my TV show this year. That's like the goal.
Let's go.
And it's going to happen. So that's
all. Hard. Let's go. I'm so hyped for you.
But if other things happen in conjunction with that, I would love to get more acting roles in film and television.
Sure.
That's like, I want to like do more acting because I miss that.
That's cool. How do you push through the losses and the L's and like the lessons and like the disappointments? Because I feel like that's a big part of what we do. And I told my roommate this. I said, honestly, man, I feel like the actors and the people that make it are the ones that just like push through the L's. How do you do it?
This is such a strong like powerful part of what we do that I think a lot of people don't even think about. Because all they're seeing is when we get something.
The gig.
When we get the gig. So it kind of makes me think like every time I get rejected from something, I should make a post and be like, I got rejected from this. So then you see like just how many times the rejection. And the rejection is so like powerful and palpable.
Even though you're like, nah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's all right.
But you feel it, you know? And it's hard not to take it personally and to internalize it. And when you're facing so much of it, like, that I think is the hardest part, is just continuing to believe in yourself. Just like continuing to believe that you're not like, I'm not delusional, right? Like I'm not crazy. Like I'm not like the person on American Idol that they make fun of that thinks that they're good at something, but they're not, you know?
Yeah.
I think that is the hardest part, to like, just keep believing in yourself. I think something that I try to come back to when I get rejected is like, that is one opportunity or 10 or however many that you get rejected from. Okay, that's 10 opportunities I didn't get this day or this week or whatever. But there's always going to be something else. And there is room for everyone because I could never play a role that you play. You know what I mean?
You don't think?
There's just no way. So it's like, why would I... There's no... Even someone who looks like me and is like the same type as me or whatever, they still don't have the same experience as me or the same history or background. It's like everyone brings something unique to what they're doing. And I could never tell your story for you. You could never tell my story. It's silly to think that, okay, because these 10 opportunities, I didn't get them and they went to other people, it doesn't mean there's not one that's going to be right for me or that I'm going to make myself, because if I make it myself, it can't be wrong for me.
There you go.
Wow.
I love how you just take control. You
have to. You have to just like start kicking people in the ass.
Hey, there you go.
And yourself. You have to be like, you know what? I've been like on this Princess Carolyn kick. I don't know if you watch BoJack Horseman.
No.
So it's like one of my favorite shows, but there's a character on there. Her name's Princess Carolyn. She's an agent and a manager. She becomes a manager later.
Yeah.
But she's like this kick-ass, like single woman. She's just like, there's so many episodes where she's like, you gotta get your shit together. She's like looking at herself in the mirror and she just kind of like kicks herself in the butt to like keep going. And I keep thinking of that when I need to like keep going. I'm like, no one is good. Like the way people, I'm sure this is a big thing for you too, of like the way people see you, you internalize that, like, or I'll speak for myself. I internalize that a lot of like people see me as like this small, like cute woman, whatever. It's like, isn't it like they don't expect much from me or whatever.
Sure.
And then you start to believe that about yourself, you know? It's like, maybe I don't have that much to offer if like no one's really paying attention to me or no one really cares that I'm a comedian or whatever. They just like think I'm like cute or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, no, those things are not true. Like, you know what's true and so you know what's inside of you. And no one else is just going to know that unless you prove it to them. Yeah. So.
I love that. Dropping gems. So, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was a pleasure.
This was so fun. Oh, hugs.
And then, where can the people find you? Let them know in the camera. Where can the people find you?
Which camera? Both? Okay.
On social media, or that one?
This one?
On social media, on all the things.
On all the things, you can find me at Maria DeCotis. I know my last name's weird. It's DeCotis. I'm sure you're going to write it down somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be on the text, like right there.
You can read it. Yeah. That's my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever. And then my website is mariadecotis.com. So.
Yeah, and then any words for the people? Words of encouragement?
Yes. Your story is worthy of being told. And just because someone doesn't give you the opportunity right away, or even after a few years, or even after 10 years, it doesn't mean it's not worthy of being told. It is. and you're the only one who can tell it. So, like, go tell it.
Let's go. 2020. Marie DeCotis. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was tight.
That was so fun.